Evening. After a pretty average week for the home nations in World Cup qualifying, it's back to club duty for all involved and the start of another hectic phase in the Football League as teams prepare for 6 games over the next 22 days. Well, Leroy's here to reflect on the day's big talking points, including one manager forced to deliver his pre-match spiel in the confines of the local hotel. Here's what else we've got for you tonight. It's a little early to assess the impact of the new red strip, but big spenders Cardiff have made a confident start to the season. On Saturday, they're at home to Leeds. We reflect on the first South London derby of the season as Chris Powell's Charlton entertain Crystal Palace at the Valley.
After a hefty splash of Middle Eastern cash in the summer, they made their best start for 6 years. We're at the City Ground to assess the recent upturn in Nottingham Forest's fortunes.
And we see whether Leyton Orient could follow up their impressive win at Swindon last week as they faced Brentford in the week's other capital clash. Now, expectations at Cardiff City have soared alongside the club's spending levels after Malky Mackay splashed out £10 million over the summer. For the club's Malaysian owners, no stone has been left unturned in their pursuit of top-flight football. And they'd made a solid start, taking 7 points from their first 4 games. The same tally achieved by their opponents Leeds, who, unlike recent years, have a rather more modest budget at their disposal. Well, before the game, both clubs paid tribute to Cardiff safety officer Simon Insole, who sadly passed away on Thursday. In the commentary box for us for this one, Nigel Adderley.
After a grim international break for Welsh football, Cardiff City have the chance to restore some pride here in the Principality by continuing their fine start to the season. The one Welshman involved in either side is on the Cardiff bench. Craig Bellamy has to settle for a place there after missing 2 games each for club and country following a torn calf. Malky Mackay has picked the same team, which beat Wolves 3-1 before the break. Leeds drew 3-3 with Blackburn last time out, and 3 of the midfield from that game don't start today. David Norris has a thigh injury, while El Hadj Diouf and Luke Varney are on the bench. Michael Tongue makes his debut on loan from Stoke, while youngsters Aidan White and Sam Byron are both recalled. Now, Malky Mackay has been given huge investment by the club's Malaysian owners. Tricky play, and a decent ball across, and Paddy Kenny all over the place there. Adam Drury with the vital touch at the far post. But what great play by Craig Noone to first of all engineer the space and dig out that cross, and Drury couldn't take any chances. And Smith, another player having to fight for every ball, but he does well to find Munch, who was skating through there. He caught Peltier, and this could be a card. Oh, it was nasty because Peltier was committed as well, having made the clearance. The referee keeps his cards in his pocket. Whittingham. Smith does well. Now Helgeson. Smith rather sold short by the pass. And Byron. That's got to be another yellow card. Tommy Smith this time. And this game is in danger of boiling over at the moment. And Tommy Smith, not known for his harsh tackling. Oh, but that's a nasty one on Byron. Excellent match between Helgeson and Leeds. As the Cardiff runner comes away with the ball. Got support from Smith. That's a good defensive clearance by Pearce at the expense of a corner. Smart play by Helgeson. And Pearce there couldn't take any chances with Nicky Maynard lurking. Whittingham with the corner. Helgeson! They'll be disappointed there not to at least have hit the target. He's been scoring goals like that down the years. That was a very presentable opportunity for Heider Helgeson. And in a match littered with heavy challenges, only 2 yellow cards so far. Paul Turney kept them in his pocket for a long, long time. Much. That's a good ball. Noone in behind White. It's an important header away by Pearce, but Maynard! And Mickey Maynard forces Paddy Kenny into his first real action of the game. And it was a routine save in the end for the Leeds goalkeeper. Noon. Probably about to make way for Bellamy. This could be one final flourish from him. And it's a decent ball in. Smith! And the agony on his face shows he believes he should have scored. Noon causing problems when he comes inside, and Smith there was unable to control the volley on the stretch though. And listen to the roar for Craig Bellamy. Martin Mackay will be pleased with the start his team have made to the second half. Much. Gathered well by Smith. Plenty of movement now ahead of him. Hudson's waiting! Brilliant save by Kenny. Paddy Kenny keeping his team on level terms. Hudson not picked up as he came around the back. That's a very good save. And Mark Hudson, a regular goal scorer last season for Cardiff, almost getting his second of the season there as Leeds concede another free kick. Michael Tong booked this time. Maynard just bumped over by time as he made tracks for the edge of the area. Bellamy over the free kick with Whittingham. It's Bellamy! Whoa, what a goal! And what an impact from Craig Bellamy! And the first goal of his second coming at Cardiff City is something really special. He's always had the knack of making things happen, and he certainly did that. Paddy Kenny had not an earthly. Norton doing well to find Maynard. His goal side of Leeds, down he goes. Penalty. Tenacious play from Maynard, just a shove in the back from Leeds. Gave the striker the opportunity to go down. It's Peter Whittingham. 2-0 to Cardiff City. A very confident penalty. And it's a long way back for Leeds. Austin. Barney skips away from Bhasin, but does get the free kick. Austin and Tung are over the free kick. Craig Bellamy on the edge of the D, just marshalling the wall. Austin! Oh, all the way through! And Leeds are back in the game. And David Marshall may question his role in the goal. No deflection, it appears. David Marshall wondering why the wall didn't do its job. Surprised by the ferocity from Rudolph Austin. And Gunnison will now take the throw-in for Cardiff. And Helgeson undoubtedly will be the target. It's cleared away as far as Smith. Good save again by Kenny. He must have seen that so late. But Paddy Kenny has excelled at times in the second half. And now Juve. Still life in Leeds. Austin! And Peltier with the header. Austin with the delivery, and Peltier there. A free header.
We ended up with 69% possession in the day and 19 chances at their goal. Paddy Kenny was magnificent. Very tight first half, but I think second half we really certainly were on the front foot and had an awful lot of chances at their goals.
We got beat with a good side today. They'll not be far away, but, spent a fortune, haven't they? So you'd expect that, pressure's on them, and I thought we handled it very well today.
So 3 home wins out of 3 for Cardiff City then, and I suppose considering Paddy Kenny had most of the saves to make in the contest, was that a fair reflection?
Yeah, I think so. I think Leeds were affected by the change in personnel in the first half.
Yeah.
And from then on, I thought Cardiff took control and could easily have won by more, in all honesty.
Now, all the headlines, of course, tomorrow will belong to Craig Bellamy and that terrific free kick. But one striker that did start for Cardiff and cost quite a lot of money, of course, Nicky Maynard. He was a real thorn in that Leeds side, wasn't he?
He was. I mean, Nicky's not fully fit, but what I like about Nicky is that as soon as he gets the ball, he either gets his shots off early or he commits defenders. And there, he commits defenders to the tackle and gets a free kick which led to their opening goal. But he's done this at Crewe, at Bristol City and at West Ham to help them get over the line as well last season. And he's very, very direct. And you see there, he wins the second penalty and defenders hate playing against him.
So we saw the free kick from Craig Bellamy. Let's have another look at that, shall we? Because to have that quality to call upon from the bench for Malcolm Mackay, it's excellent, isn't it?
Yeah, and Craig Noon had a great game as well. And Craig came on and within 2 minutes he does this. It's just top quality from that angle. It's that pace of the ball and it's a pure strike. And Paddy Kenny, who had a good game, had absolutely no choice. And it's real quality at that level.
You mentioned for Leeds it wasn't the ideal start. I mean, for them to lose your creative spark in Ross McCormack at his old club of all places after 3 minutes. I mean, they had their backs against it, really. It
was really disruptive, and Ross would have been really up for the game, going back to his old team, Cardiff, and he has been, as you said, their creative spark with Becchio up front. And as soon as he went off the pitch, they just looked like they couldn't really open up Cardiff. And it just gave the onus to Cardiff to come at them. And as Malky said, had a lot of possession. And in the end, they made it tough.
They certainly did. Now, Blackpool's 100% start to the season ended at Leicester, of course, before the international break. On Saturday, Ian Holloway's side had a chance to get back on track away to Barnsley, a side who've already suffered their fair share of injuries this season.
Barnsley were celebrating their 125th anniversary. Time to crack open the fireworks. And the Yorkshire club soon proved pretty sprightly in its old age. Chris Dagnall testing Matt Gilks' reactions before Jacob Mellis was flagged offside to make the rest of a scramble academic. At the other end, Ben Anik was kept on his toes by Alex Baptiste. Blackpool were enjoying the lion's share of possession, but there was a 14th minute shock in store, courtesy of Craig Davis. Barnsley's birthday celebrations had just been stepped up a notch. No prizes, though, for guessing who'd spoil the party. August's Championship Player of the Month, Thomas Ince, finishing with the confidence you'd expect from a youngster who's now scored 5 in 5, and Blackpool's towels were up. Angel soon had the ball in the net again, only for the scores to stay level on the assistants say-so. Ian Holloway's men continued to look the most likely to find a winner in the second half, Ince causing problems before the ball broke to Thiago Gomez. The crowd of home players had left him little to shoot at, and Blackpool's frustration was mounting. That was often the case on their travels at the back end of last season too, and once another ferocious strike from Baptiste had cleared the crossbar, Barnsley could reflect on a job well done.
I'm relatively pleased that we got the rewards that we deserved, and Blackpool as well, because I thought it was an entertaining game. It was a good game to watch from a manager's perspective as a neutral, and I'm relatively pleased for us to be able to compete against what I do consider the best team in the league.
Could this be a defining week for Steve Keane? The papers seem to think so, but the Blackburn boss has rubbish suggestions that he's one defeat from the sack. Whether that's true or not, he couldn't have made a worse start at Ashton Gate. Albert Adoma crashing Bristol City into the lead after just 44 seconds. But despite doubts over his future, Keane's managed to oversee the club's unbeaten start. Jordan Rhodes' first in Rovers colours got them to the break all square. And another of their summer recruits had them in front early in the second half. Nuno Gomez turning home his third in as many matches as Rovers headed for top spot. But City's quest for a third successive home win was back on track midway through the second period. Adoma managing to conjure up a cross that Stephen Pearson guided into the corner. The scoring was far from finished. Ruben Rashina sparking a frantic final 9 minutes. The Blackburn sub waltzing his way into the box to make it 3-2. Soon after, the home side squared the scores again. Sam Baldock's second goal since joining from West Ham appeared to have rescued a point. But their hearts were broken in stoppage time. Morten Gamps Pedersen's ball into the box caused panic, and Scott Dan's ferocious drive landed his side maximum points. This time there was no way back for the hosts, but still time for Rhodes to round off the scoring. A composed finish putting the seal on an epic contest as Rovers took control at the top.
It was a strange game because we felt we conceded a very cheap goal. We had a little bit of a wobble, and I think felt sorry for myself for 4 or 5 minutes. But then after that, I thought we showed courage to continue to try and pass the ball. I thought we controlled the game, and you know, it's a mark of a good team when you can show character to come back.
I think each and every one of our goals is avoidable, the goals we lose, and I think that we've got to take a hard look at ourselves with defending today.
The KC Stadium, and what was to prove a difficult tie for Kenny Jackett. For in this clash of Lions and Tigers, it was the Tigers who had the big game. A 4-1 win, their 6th straight victory at home, and it began with this belter from Robert Corrin, left undisturbed as he unleashed the shot. Goals had been hard to come by for Steve Bruce's side this season, but not on this occasion. A half hour in, Stephen Quinn's lofted pass picking out Jay Simpson delightfully, and the former Millwall loanee giving it the cool finish it deserved. 4 minutes later, it was 3. This time James Chester getting in behind, his cross met with a thundering header from Abdoulaye Faye. And 4 minutes after that, the first half deluge was completed. Jay Simpson upended by Millwall captain Paul Robinson, referee James Adcock playing advantage, and Sonia Luco making it 4-0. With the Hull shots raining in from all angles, Millwall had Mike Taylor to thank that the scoreline wasn't even worse. The veteran keeper here tipping Ahmed El Mohammadi's fierce drive onto the bar. The battered Lions did then restore some pride with Darius Henderson's consolation header midway through the second half. But Steve Bruce's Hull side have now made their best start to the season in 8 years.
Well, I'm delighted. I mean, we've had a decent start, and you know, but there's something in the human brain what just switches off when things become too easy. Second half, it just became a little bit too easy, and we just eased off the gas a bit, which was the unfortunate part. But some of the stuff in the first half was a joy to watch, and every time we went forward, we looked as if we could score a goal.
Friday night's match on the South Coast offered Sheffield Wednesday and their hosts Brighton the chance to top the table overnight. A prospect that drew Albion's biggest crowd for almost 30 years, and the vast majority of the 26,500 at the Amex lapped up the action. Wayne Bridges' deflected free kick was the difference between the teams at half-time, but Brighton had threatened to score more. 9 minutes into the second half, a superb run from Spanish fullback Bruno set up the Seagulls' man of the moment. Craig McCall-Smith's 5th goal in 3 games had the home side in full control. Their dominance rewarded again just 4 minutes later when Bruno's perfectly flighted pass picked out Will Buckley. A 3rd successive victory in the bag for a club which looks considerably stronger this season thanks to its summer signings. When Wednesday threatened to snatch a consolation through one of their new men, Jay Bothroyd, Albion keeper Thomas Kuszczak made sure there'd be nothing to spoil Gus Poyet's night. The manager purring over an impressive performance.
I think it's perfect, yes. It was important to win, especially knowing that it would be more than 26,000 people watching. It was important to win because it gave us the chance, at least for a few hours, to be at the top and to keep playing well.
You know, we are still trying to do things and change things, and at the moment we're making too many mistakes that are costing us.
Yeah, Brighton certainly turned on the style at the Amex on Friday night, and you were there, Leroy, to watch them put 3 past Sheffield Wednesday. And Gus has unearthed a gem, hasn't he, in Bruno?
He certainly has. You think he'd be talking about Wayne Bridge, the England international on the other side, but no, it's Bruno Salter on this right-hand side. He was a cut above the rest. They all played well, but he was, you know, this is the second goal, which kind of just got their noses ahead. And from then on, they were played really well.
On Saturday, however, a significant day, I suppose, for Blackburn Rovers. First 2 goals for Jordan Rhodes at his new club after what was a big money transfer, of course, to Ewood Park. But also it puts them top of the table. And will this finally see the end of the barracking by even the home fans for Steve Keane?
I don't know, but I hope so, because, you know, Blackburn fans haven't had a lot to shout about, but they've certainly got something to shout about now. He's a big money signing, there's pressure there, but they're top of the table, they're playing good football, and the fans were happy there, and let's hope they'll be happy in the future.
We saw a good point for Barnsley against Blackpool in that round, but for Hull, they can't stop scoring goals at the minute, can they? And particularly when they haven't had the ability to call on their top scorer from last season, Matty Fryer.
Yeah, I mean, Hull always played well, and I think Steve Bruce would have recognised that. They've always played good football, but they haven't got the goals when it's mattered. They have at the start of this season. You know, they beat Bolton 3 last week, 4 this week, and I think it's changed the system a little bit. It's gone to 3 at the back.
Yeah,
Al-Ahmadi's coming as a wing back, and it seems to be working for them. So they've got options there. They can play the 4 at the back or the 5. At the moment, Steve's picking the right team, playing the right tactics, and they're getting the right results.
I suppose the challenge is to try and keep those high standards going for the next few weeks.
Yeah, especially the KC Stadium. You know, I think that's the key. You know, if they get results there, I think they've won their last 6 games there. I think that'll be a really good platform because away from home, very difficult to beat, and I think Steve will be pleased with their start.
It's barely 8 weeks since Sean O'Driscoll was appointed manager of Nottingham Forest, but it seems to have had an immediate effect, with Forest unbeaten in the league and 3rd after 4 games. Well, Clem went to the City Ground to look at the transformation of last season's strugglers.
After their takeover by the Al-Hassawi family in the summer, glamour names galore were linked with Nottingham Forest.
Sven.
McCarthy.
Hoddle.
Strachan. Are you a Pep Guardiola?
Have you been drinking?
No.
Instead, it was the man affectionately known throughout his career as Noisy and Mr. Happy who got the nod. Just 2 months after leaving his job as first-team coach at the City Ground to take over at Crawley, Sean O'Driscoll was back as manager and wasting little time in pursuit of the owner's dreams.
Are you right?
11 new signings, and the architect of Doncaster's recent success in the Championship has got Forest purring.
I think they're playing absolutely perfect. Brilliant.
Perfect, that's a strong word.
Yeah.
Fantastic, like the old days.
It's just brought something different which we didn't have last season. Just love him.
Forest! Is he one of the boys when you get in amongst him?
Yeah, he's himself, you know. He is laid back, he is quietly spoken, but he's very intelligent and he knows what he wants, and if we aren't doing what we want him to do, then, you know, he can be a little bit louder.
So while a quiet man prepares his team, this is the power behind the throne. Fawaz Al-Hassawi made his money in property and hotels. Does have previous in running football clubs. He did it back in his homeland, and he's said to be one of the most affluent men in Kuwait. Can I ask you, it's a bit of a difficult question, and we English are always very reticent about it. Are you a very rich man? You could tell me, Fawaz. Are you very rich?
I'm a normal man. Normal.
Well, I can see you're normal, but are you a very rich normal man?
No. I am no.
Why Forest?
We are trying to push hard with maybe this year and the year next. There is a plan actually to take Nottingham Forest where it should be, like in the Premier, hopefully. Sean, he impressed us really, and the team knows that man, and he works with them, and all the people who was working with him, even the players, they were very happy.
Are you nervous now? Have you got butterflies in the stomach?
Since yesterday I'm nervous.
Really?
Yeah, I'm very tense. I want to win. I want the 3 point.
Forest made most of the early running as they chased a 3rd successive home win. Lewis McGugan testing the reflexes of Jack Butland. But having failed to make the most of their early dominance, Birmingham hit them with 2 second-half goals in as many minutes. Hayden Mullins lashing in the first to put his side on track for only their 2nd 3-point haul of the campaign. The travelling fans barely had time to settle down as Lee Clark's men stretched the lead even further. Substitute Nathan Redmond showing Greg Holford a clean pair of heels before teeing up Marlon King. Forest's unbeaten start was now under severe threat, but 2 subs came up trumps as they fought back for a share of the points. Simon Cox was lucky to even feature after injuring his foot on international duty in the week. Not that you'd know it given the quality of the finish that put Forest back in the hunt. With 4 minutes left, Holford surged into the Birmingham half. His cross was only partially cleared by Pablo Ibanez, and Dan Harding punished him to full effect. To make matters worse for the Spanish defender, it went down as an own goal. The comeback was now complete, although Southampton loanee Billy Sharp went close to snatching a dramatic winner, but a point would have to do.
Great challenge as well. I mean, with the backing as well of a guy that clearly wants this club to go places ultimately.
You know, you don't own Nottingham Forest and consolidate. So but many people have tried, and we're trying to now put in processes rather than worry about outcomes. You know, everybody knows where the club wants to be, but it's pointless focusing on that. We've got to focus on the nitty-gritties and all the basics, and that's what we're trying to do.
Well, it's the second comeback from Nottingham Forest this season. It might not have been the home win that the fans were yearning for, but there's a real steely determination, which is also another hallmark of Sean's side, isn't it?
It certainly is, and I've known Sean a long time, and I'm a fan of Sean. I remember him when he was riding the lawnmower at Bournemouth, cutting the pitch while trying to sign players. But people think that he wants to just play passing football, but there's a real grit and organisation behind that, and a lot of hard work that goes into it. And he gives them a platform to go and get back. They're always in games because they will always create with Sean's teams, and they showed that today.
In many ways, it was incredible that Simon Cox actually featured in that game after obviously getting injured for the Republic of Ireland in midweek. But he doesn't score bad goals at the minute.
Never. I know Simon well as well.
You had him, didn't you?
I had him at Brentford. I signed him on loan from Reading. Very confident young man he was then, and he backs himself, backs his ability. And I thought it was an excellent signing by Forest, because Simon will score goals. You don't expect it. From outside the box, he'll just take a shot and back himself. He's got that confidence in himself. And he's the kind of just open up games and get you 3 points when you least expect it.
Yeah, he certainly made a good start to his Forest career. Now, on Friday night, there was a South London derby as Charlton and Crystal Palace renewed rivalries for the first time in 3 years. Palace were relieved to get their first win of the season against Sheffield Wednesday last time round, while Charlton were hoping to make it 7 wins from 8 at home.
They've got Wiggins in again. Wiggins' cross is a great one. Good defending back post by Parr. Pritchard was arriving. Excellent work by the Palace left-back after a magnificent surging run and centre from the Charlton left-back. Laurie Wilson's free kick. One by Court, by Phillips! It won't count. Flag raised, because when it came to Wright Phillips, you can see he is ahead of the last defender. Bhasin. Nicely done. Stevens with a chance to shoot. Plenty behind this. Wilson couldn't quite clear it. Bhasin. Oh, that's a good ball. It's Garvin's centre, and it's away partially by Court, and then by Stevens. And Zaha ensures that it goes behind for the corner. All of their corners so far have been taken short. Zaha turned behind by Jackson. Owen Garvin will take. Looks like this one is going to be flung into the box. Goal! Brilliant strike on the volley. Dikachoy gets his third of the season. In front of the Palace fans. It's the away side that take the lead. You don't stop those. For a first attempt though, was it? Pass throw, Garvin. Down for Williams, back for Garvin. And the deflection. Well, Stevens took it the wrong side of the post. Danny Green. Looking to link up with Wilson, who might get in behind Parr here. Good cut back, and it's wide by Fuller. 2 half chances for Ricardo Fuller since he came on. Well found by Wilson. Green. Wilson. 6 ways in red in the middle. It's a chance here. Speroni against the bar, and then over from Jelinek. Fuller almost scrambled the equaliser in. Deflected up and towards goal, and Speroni, with a bit of Australian assistance, gets it behind. The goalkeeper heads it against the defender on the line, and Hamer over the bar. Well, nobody had seen him come forward. It's a great header, and it's cleared off the line by Garvin.
I thought our first half performance was fantastic. We played very expansive football. You know, we pressed in the right areas, burst of pressure, got us the ball, and we attacked very well, created 2 or 3 opportunities. In the second half, Charlton came into it as they should do. You know, the home team put a lot of balls in our box, but I thought we kept very well. They're going to have 1 or 2 opportunities, you understand that, and you know, in another night they may went in, but tonight I thought overall we deserved that win.
I can see why the linesman gave it, because obviously you couldn't see the guy on the other side. You know, we've got the benefit of seeing it again. At the time I thought it was a decent goal, but you know, the linesman, to be fair, has come in, seen us afterwards. I know it can't change it, but you know, I apologise because he recognised that he made a mistake.
Well, Chris Powell taking the apology pretty well, but if you're a Charlton fan, you'd be livid, wouldn't you?
You would be devastated. It was a perfectly good goal. But you can understand why the assistant referee got it wrong, because he doesn't see the player go down. It's made it very difficult. You see the free kick come over, and it's Darcy Blake who goes down, and I can't see him. And Bradley Wright-Phillips does look offside from where he's standing, because Bradley Wright-Phillips is in front of Darcy Blake as well. But there's no consolation to Charlton.
Credit, however, of course, to Crystal Palace. I mean, they scored a terrific goal through Dickatroy. Their first away win of 2012. I mean, they caused havoc, especially down the wide areas. I mean, it's not something that we've learnt overnight. Wilfred Zaha is as good as they come in that division.
They've just been more expansive, I think, in recent weeks, and that's why they've got the result against Wednesday and that one against Charlton, which was a good game, by the way. And Dickatroy, I think, as well, is just got a little bit fitter as well. As, you know, big money signing from Fulham, but he hasn't had a lot of match practice, and I think the more games he gets, the better he'll become. But that was an absolutely terrific strike, and I think that'll certainly do his confidence a lot of good. And it will give, of course, Dougie Freedman a huge boost in confidence, particularly away from home. Yeah, certainly. I think when you lose the players that Dougie lost, it's no surprise. He just I think he went into his shell a little bit and was really upset by the defensive frailties that they showed, because they were missing people like McCarthy. But now, all of a sudden, they decided, right, we're going to have a go at teams, and they're getting their rewards. And I think they're going to make for an exciting team this season, Palace. Right, well, as for the rest of the Championship, it's been a period of transition at Middlesbrough, where Tony Mowbray has remoulded his side with mixed results so far. On Saturday, Borough were at home to Ipswich.
It's all about home form for Middlesbrough. Tony Mowbray's Teessiders have taken all their points at the Riverside this season, and against Ipswich they made it 3 for 3. This 2-0 scoreline, though, couldn't have flattered them more if it had bought them chocks and told them they looked like Kieran Knightley. The visitors had the lion's share of chances, Lee Martin here stinging the palms of Jason Steele. But after 34 minutes, it was Borough who took the lead. 19-year-old Luke Williams latching onto a well-placed through ball to score his second of the season. Paul Jewell's side had been battered 6-0 at Blackpool in their last away game, but they didn't let their heads drop. Paul Taylor here putting past the upright. And in the second half, the pressure continued. Borough left befuddled by the build-up before Michael Chopra fired straight at Steele. But with Ipswich piling forward, it was Middlesbrough who found the net again in stoppage time. Mustafa Carriol calmly firing past Scott Loach. For the Tractor Boys, that's now 8 goals conceded, none scored in their last 2 on the road.
Every away trip's a long way back to Ipswich, I've got to be honest, but yeah, we are scratching our heads. Well, I know the reason we'd not just draw the game, win the games, because we didn't convert our quality play and our possession and shots on target into goals.
It's great to win the first 3 home games, and yet we have to start picking up points away from home, which is obviously we did it the other way around last year. I think we took a lot of points away from home and struggled a bit at home, but hopefully our away form will come strong and we can be competitive this year.
Languishing 20th at the start of play, it seems fair to say Bolton have taken time to adjust to the second tier. But their determination to kick-start the campaign was obvious against Watford. Owen Coyle's men in front inside the first 3 minutes. A first Bolton goal for Matt Mills as Watford picked up where they left off before the international break. Gianfranco Zola's men suffered at set pieces in their hammering at Derby, and this was the same story. Kevin Davis on the end of Chris Eagle's free kick to double his tally for the season. This time, though, the Hornets fought back strongly, and it took the crossbar to deny Mark Yates a spectacular goal. Including the League Cup, Watford had lost 3 of their previous 4 games, and another defeat would seem a certainty if Bolton could score a third. David Ngog's cross was hooked away brilliantly before Eagles' follow-up was blocked as Zola's side battled to keep the contest alive. And just before the hour, Watford found fresh hope from an unlikely source. Defender Lloyd Doyley had netted just once in more than 300 games as a pro. If he meant that, he's suddenly become a goal-scoring genius. Fluke or not, Watford's fans didn't care, but their side couldn't complete the comeback. Indeed, the margin of Bolton's victory should really have been greater in the end. Davis wasteful after exposing Watford's defensive frailty one last time.
Maybe first half wasn't certainly a good performance. I think the difference in the first half was the set plays. Every opportunity in the set place that caused us a lot of problems.
I was delighted by our first half response and reaction to Rosenior, obviously the last game away from home at Hull, but we came out firing all cylinders, 2-0 up. If truth be told, should have been probably 3 or 4 at the break, and a bit frustrated because we allowed a bit of pressure on ourselves in the second half, and the lad Doyley scored. He went to cross the ball and it's landed in your top corner.
Derby travelled to West Yorkshire high on confidence after putting 5 past Watford in their previous outing. Huddersfield soon brought them back down to earth. Adam Hamill's first contribution of a man-of-the-match display was to send over the perfect cross for Danny Ward, who finished superbly. That strike inside the first minute was enough to earn the home side their second win of the campaign and keep them undefeated. Simon Grayson wants his side to entertain this season. Adam Clayton did his best to increase the lead, his long-range drive putting Frank Fielding at full stretch. Derby offered little in response. Despite seeing plenty of the ball, they came up short in the final third. Jeff Hendricks appealed for a penalty falling on deaf ears, but Huddersfield are settling nicely.
Our play up until the final third was excellent at times, especially in the second half, but just poor decision making and poor execution was the difference today. You know, they got off to a flyer, scoring a goal within a minute and defended it very well.
I thought we started the game really well. We had a tempo to it, great balling from Adam Hamill. He got players running backwards because he runs forward with the ball and takes it up the pitch, and Danny Ward got in a great position.
Burnley third from bottom on a 3-game losing streak. Peterborough dead last without a win all year. All the makings of a classic then, and so it proved. The first of the game, 7 goals, coming just 37 seconds in. Burnley's Chris McCann unmarked to head in the cross. They were streaming forward, but one Duff challenge later and it was 1-1. Nathan Mendes-Lang brought down by Michael Duff, Lee Tomlin converting. And shortly after, it was Posh who took the lead. Again, it was Tomlin and Mendes-Lang combining, and Peterborough looked like they could be heading for their first victory of 2012. But they reckoned without Charlie Austin and their own back line. 6 minutes before the break, Michael Boswick turning in Austin's low shot after the striker being put through by McCann. And Austin wasn't done yet, scoring twice in the last 20 minutes, first putting Burnley back in front again on an assist from McCann. Then Austin left smarting by Peterborough goalkeeper Bobby Olejnik, but getting back to his feet to bang home the spot kick. Burnley now 4-2 up, and it looks like he's claiming that own goal. Posh were looking poor. The Clarets thought they had 5 through Sam Vokes, only for the linesman's flag to deny them. But they didn't have too long to wait. Minutes from time, Cameron Stewart's shot batted back into the path of Junior Stanislas, who sealed the win and put a big smile all over Eddie Howe's cherubic face.
It was a really open game. I think both sides probably could have scored more on the day. We found ourselves 2-1 down. And when I felt, we'd been the dominant side, especially after the first 5 minutes, and it was fine margins as always between defeat and victory.
Football can be a very, very simple game at times. It is a simple game. If you concede goals like we do, you're not going to win. That is top and bottom.
Much needed win that for Burnley after 3 consecutive defeats, and I suppose it helps to allay the fans' fears after Jay Rodriguez left in the summer. And Charlie Austin, they've got a rich source of goals this season.
Yeah, ready-made, not a replacement, but someone who would be confident enough to take over that mantle. He loves scoring goals, Charlie, and since he's come into the league, he's got a fantastic record, and that was an excellent finish, although he's given a lot of time in the box, and defending leaves a little bit to be desired. But, you know, he's a 20-goal this season man if he stays fit.
That leaves Peterborough now with 5 defeats from 5. And Darren Ferguson never publicly criticises his own players, but he has done. Just shows the level of frustration for him at London Road.
It does. I know Dan loves to play open, attacking football, but the defending there was shocking. And, you know, I don't know when the last time they got a clean sheet, but they need to have that foundation if they're to go and get results. And Darren knows that. And so he'll defend his players when he knows that they've done their best, but that certainly wasn't that today.
Owen Cole will be relieved. It's just their second win of the season, isn't it? And he's been under some pressure of late. And they're in the top half of the table. It just goes to show that, you know, early days so far, one win can certainly move you several places.
Absolutely, you know, and what I've seen with Owen, he's working with just 16 players, the fewest in that league. So he's keeping a tight-knit bunch. He wants to keep the quality. And it's an adjustment for Bolton. And they're just slowly but surely starting to adjust, and I think they'll start to pick up points on a regular basis now.
Now, I told you while we were looking at that roundup of Watford's squad, 40 strong, 14 on loan, of course, from Udinese and Granada, to mention just a couple of the clubs that they've linked up with. I mean, how does Zola know his best 11?
I don't think he does. And when you've got 14 loans, the fans will be questioning their affinity to the club. You know, will they really put in the hard graft and work that's needed to be successful? And with 40 players at the club, there's bound to be a lot of unhappy ones. You know, organising training is going to be easy. They must do it in separate batches.
They have to, yeah.
But it's a long-term vision for Gianfranco Zola. And I think he needs time to sort it out, and I think he'll be given that time. So, you know, there's no panic at Watford. As long as they pick up a regular source of points and they keep moving forward, the fans will stay on side.
Right, well, let's move to League One now. And of the 5 games coming up, we begin at Boundary Park, where Oldham took on leaders Notts County, who'd made an excellent start with 4 wins from 5. One more win would signal their best start to a season for 37 years.
With County bang in form and facing League One's lowest scorers, what could possibly go wrong at Boundary Park? Well, how about this? Andre Bucco's challenge on Cliff Byrne was deemed two-footed by referee Chris Sarginson, and County were forced to play over 3/4 of this game with 10 men. But the Magpies needed only 36 seconds of the second half to grab the opening goal. Joss Labadie taking advantage of some prodigious Oldham ball watching. A couple of new signings this week have bolstered the Latics firepower. 2 years ago, Matt Derbyshire was playing Champions League football. A little over 2 minutes after Oldham fell behind, he put them level from Lee Croft's pass. On loan from Forest, Derbyshire might have had a second soon afterwards, but Julian Kelly bundled him in the back before he could convert Reece Rabara's cross. Penalty to Oldham, and a great opportunity to record their first home win of the season. Unfortunately, Robbie Simpson put his effort into a disbelieving crowd. And worse was to come for the Latics faithful. Jamal Campbell-Rice scored the second of 3 debut goals at Boundary Park. Surely this one was meant as a cross. But after an injury-delayed start to the season, maybe the midfielder is owed a bit of luck. This was also Jose Baxter's first appearance. Without a club until Oldham signed him on Friday, the former Everton man nicked them a point and ended County's leadership of League One.
There was a lot of effort, commitment, application, a willingness to strive to carry on doing the things that we gave them the information at half-time. Going down to 10 men, never easy. Sometimes players can go in and start feeling sorry for themselves. Have to get that out of their system and focused on the job in hand.
Tranmere have made their best start to a season for 35 years. A tough task then for a Coventry side without a win since March. The Sky Blues held out until 11 minutes from time. Zumana Bakayoko playing in Jake Cassidy for the Welsh teenager to slot home. And Tranmere's second followed 4 minutes later. Another finely worked move started and finished by local boy Andy Robinson, now in his 3rd spell at Prenton Park. All smiles for Tranmere, Coventry stuck in the bottom 4.
Stevenage have made their best ever start to a Football League season, but you'd be hard-pressed to tell from the way they began this match. Borough's backline bystanders as Crewe striker AJ Leach-Smith struck at the far post 6 minutes in. Then, mere moments later, Stevenage sliced open once again as AJ banked his second, drifting past the backline to smash it past Chris Day. Stevenage then awakened. First, Lucas Akins gave the fullback the chills to set up Luke Freeman for this gem, and that made it 2-1. And in the second half, a man on and a man off made all the difference. Man off was Crewe's on-loan Arsenal teenager Chuck Sanike, red-carded for that two-footed lunge on Anthony Grant. Man on was Stevenage substitute Robin Shroot, the former Birmingham City midfielder, capping a fine spell of possession with an equally fine turn and shot past the stricken Alan Martin. He shroots, he scores, as they say. Controversy then engulfed the final minutes after Stevenage thought they'd won the game. Referee Gavin Ward declaring Greg Tansey's goal offside, but not before he'd given it some of that. Borough manager Gary Smith not happy.
The linesman's decision was that it wasn't offside. However, I can only think that the referee's overruled it because he feels that the deflection was from one of our players.
Having won 3 out of 4, Yeovil might have expected more against an MK Dons side suffering stage fright in front of goal. Maybe it was catching. After Lewis Young's run, Sam Foley really should have done better. In a bid to inspire their misfiring strikers, MK Dons have been watching videos of coach Ian Wright in his pomp. Wrighty brought them in himself, naturally, but it looks like it's done the trick for Charlie McDonald. He got the only goal, his first in 20 Dons appearances. It was enough for a third consecutive home win.
Sheffield United went into their home game against Bury as one of 3 unbeaten sides in League One, and within 10 minutes they had the lead when 2 of their recent signings, Paul Gallagher and Nick Blackman, combined for the latter to fire home from close range. But Bury, without a win in 8 games in all competitions, were level within 2 minutes thanks to Peter Sweeney. The Glaswegians' superb free kick left the Blades keeper Mark Howard helpless. Danny Wilson's side created more chances overall, but it was Bury, belying their position in the relegation zone, who came closest to a winner. Mark Cullen, on loan from Hull City, just a whisker away. If that was a trifle unfortunate, Cullen won't want to watch this next opportunity again. As the game moved into stoppage time, Bury conjured up a fine move. A wonderful cross from Craig Jones, finding Cullen in space, but he could only watch in horror as his header cleared the bar.
Crawley keep on creeping up the table. Richie Barker's Reds shrugged off Sunday's loss with Pompey with a fine win here at Deepdale, keyed by a classic performance from Gary Alexander. After opening the scoring 54 minutes in, the Crawley captain 5 minutes later using all his experience to dominate Preston defender Shane Cansdall, turning and powering in past the outstretched Torsten Stuckmann. The visitors 2-0 up, but a tense finish was in store when in the 90th minute a free kick from substitute Joel Byram found Paul Huntington unmarked, and suddenly Deepdale was dreaming of stoppage time redemption. But it wasn't to be. Crawley keeper Paul Jones got just enough on Stuart Bevan's last-gasp header. It was a dramatic finale to what was a full-blooded encounter, and tension spilled over after between the players and managers Graham Westley and Richie Barker. Turns out putting handshakes at the end of games doesn't help much either.
Yeah, unsavoury scenes at the end of that game at Deepdale, it has to be said. Well, we've got a reaction here from Graham Westley, talking of Richie Barker, saying he screamed his mouth off and it was disrespectful. I've made that point to him. He won fair. I didn't need him screaming down my throat as if he's won the World Cup. It's a big ground for him to win, but he didn't have any manners. I mean, what do you make of that?
Well, I don't know what happened between Richie Barker and Graham Westley, but on the face of it, by Graham saying that, it seems a little bit like sour grapes. And if I was Graham, which I'm not, I would have kept my powder dry and use it as a motivation to go and beat him in the next game and not cause a rumpus like he's going to cause now.
Now, we saw a couple of flashpoints in that roundup, but the first, in that great draw between Oldham and Notts County, there was a red card in the first half, which got Keith Curle seething. What do you think?
Well, I'm not surprised he was angry. It's a perfectly good tackle by Boucard, and I think it's the reaction of Furman to the tackle, which means the referee shows the red card. He doesn't actually see that Boucard keeps his feet on the ground and wins the ball cleanly.
The other flashpoint being at Prenton Park, where Tranmere beat Coventry as their terrific start to the season continues. Addy Robinson, who I saw play brilliantly against Crewe last week, showed a T-shirt, obviously showing his support for the Justice for 96. We got booked in the process.
Well, you know, if you take your shirt off, you know you're going to get booked. And I wouldn't book him, because it would be...
Billy Sharp didn't get booked last season for showing support for his son. So we need a bit of consistency.
I know, and the consistency is you book anybody who takes their shirt off. That's what referees need to do. It's their job. But you can understand why Andy did it. You know, he's from Merseyside. This has been an emotional week for everybody. I'm sure Andy thought it was worth the booking.
OK. Let's take a look now at the rest of the games in League One, starting with Thursday's London derby at Brisbane Road between Leyton Orient, who stunned Swindon last week, of course, and Uwe Rosler's Brentford.
Miles from Griffin Park in the west to Brisbane Road in the east. Donaldson. It's a really good effort by Clayton Donaldson. It was a comfortable height for Allsop in the end, but you sense that Donaldson's pace could catch Chorley and Clark out. Here's Logan. It's a very, very good block by Chorley. Hayes was swiftly onto that. He needed the combined efforts of Chorley and Sawyer to keep him out. Header was won by Craig. And he might feel that he should have tested Allsop from there. It's a delightful ball by Forshaw. Helped on by Brunt, the substitute. Lisby in the middle. Lisby with a half-hearted appeal for a penalty kick then. Now Hayes. Clark with a throw. It's come here to Brunt, and Leyton Orient have the lead. Martin Rowlands with the up and under. Brentford vainly appealing for an offside, but no flag was forthcoming, and Orient have taken full advantage.
In the first half, we were outplayed. And could have been at least a couple of goals down, but we stayed in the game. I think there were more blocks than shots. Thought from that point of view we defended reasonably well.
We played Leyton Orient off the park. They get one or two times in our box, and once we didn't deal with it. On another side, I think when you create double figure of chances and dominate the game so much, football is all about goals, and when you not put the ball in the net, I think you're always in danger to lose a game like this.
Have you ever had that feeling that someone's walking all over you? Portsmouth have, in particular Mustafa Doumbouya. He was still wondering how Ashley Hemmings got away with that challenge when the winger picked out James Baxendale. 1-0 Walsall. Pompey had dominated the first half, but are still without a win at home this season. Florent Cuvelier put the game beyond them just after the hour mark. The Belgian was a Pompey youth player when news of their financial problems first began to surface. 3 years on, many of Portsmouth's players' monthly contracts are due to expire this weekend. Isel McLeod's is one of them. His second goal in as many games should see him book an extended stay, but it wasn't enough to avoid another morale-sapping defeat.
If it's goals you want, then games involving Carlisle are worth keeping an eye on. 16 in total so far, and 4 more in little over half an hour against Swindon. A touch of fortune saw the ball land at the feet of the Cumbrian's Jake Jervis. He didn't look a gift horse in the mouth, though, with a fine finish. Swindon, who hadn't won away in the league since April, responded with an even more emphatic strike from Irishman Adam Rooney, the youngster drilling that shot past Mark Gillespie. Within 60 seconds of the Robins equaliser, Carlisle led again, and once more it was Jervis, a 20-year-old like Rooney, on loan from Birmingham, providing the finish from Danny Cadamarteri's inch-perfect knockdown. But Carlisle couldn't shake off Paolo Di Canio's side, and 2 minutes later they levelled again. The prolific Paul Benson won the initial header, and when the ball was played back into his path, he tucked home to ensure the Robins left Cumbria with a point.
When you're down in the depths of League One, here's something you don't want to see. Colchester's Mark Cousins at a fast retreating Gavin Massey. Paul Quinn steps in, and David Cottrell curls in this fine effort to put Rovers a goal up with just 3 minutes played. The U's struck back after half an hour. Freddie Sears receiving the ball deep in the Donny box, laying off then to Magnus Okuwangai, and the defender drilling through a crowd of players off a pair of uprights and in 1-1. Now Colchester had Donny under pressure, but 3 minutes into the next half, it happened again. Cottrell swung in a free kick, Andy Bond headed into his own goal to seal defeat and Colchester's worst league start in 37 years.
Hartlepool was seconds away from victory at Bournemouth. When Evan Horwood fell under the challenge of Sean MacDonald, Pools were awarded a 73rd minute penalty. Previously out of favour, Simon Walton made the most of his return to the first team. Likewise, Matt Tubbs, having not started a league game all season, there was talk of him leaving the Gold Sands Stadium. After this miss, he may have wanted to do so via a hole in the ground. Paul Groves has been preaching the value of patience to his striker, and sure enough, Bournemouth's record signing delivered the goods in injury time. From Wes Fogden's pass, Tubbs scored only the second goal since his big money move from Crawley. Good things come to those who wait.
Shrewsbury only had to avoid defeat to set a new record of 33 home league matches unbeaten. Plain sailing, you'd think, against bottom club Scunthorpe. The Iron, though, turned party poopers. Recent loan signing Leon Clark heading in Carl Hawley's perfectly flighted cross to secure their first win of the season.
We didn't deserve anything, if we're perfectly honest. I thought that having given them the lead, which was a terrible goal to concede from a throw-in, we were second best for the vast majority of the game, in the vast majority of the positions.
So Graham Turner feeling there that his team came out second best. He's certainly making most of his second chance, so to speak, Alan Neil.
Yeah, absolutely. A great result for Scunthorpe. It's totally unexpected. You know, expected Shrewsbury to go and get the record, but they've gone there, kept a clean sheet. I'm really pleased for Alan. As he said, you know, he thought he was his incident with the squirrel last week was his last, but he's come through it, and I'm sure that he'll put a smile back on his face.
Can't believe we're talking about a squirrel tonight. Walsall, meanwhile, up to 5th, and Dean Smith has done a terrific job with the Saddlers, considering he only had 6 seniors to start off with in pre-season.
I love the policy at Walsall. You know, they're right in the Midlands, but they've got lots of big clubs around them, and they're taking young players from the big clubs who haven't quite made it and trying to form them into their own, and it's working for them. And they've got to do that. I suppose they haven't really got any choice, but they've really taken it on with a real belief that they can be successful, and Dean is that sort of character. Always has been.
The average squad age is 24, believe it or not. I suppose if you take Jimmy Walker out of the equation, he'll be probably 17.
Maybe a little lower, yeah.
He's a great servant, of course, to the club. But that just goes to show, I mean, you know, how young that squad really is.
Yeah, and they've always had a good academy, always had a good youth set up, and working with young players, you know, you've got to be really, really patient. I think Dean is that, his coaching staff are that. And they know that at times they'll get things wrong, but it's going really well for them, and they're on a little bit of a roll. Although it's early season, it's nice to see Walsall in those higher echelons.
Yeah.
And you never know, you know, they just keep their key players fit, could keep it going.
Right, well, as for Saturday's games in League 2, we kick off with the leaders Gillingham, whose players are on a special bonus whenever they top the table. So could they once again be rolling in it by rolling over Bristol Rovers?
Just like the game against Barnet, Gillingham were quick off the blocks against Bristol Rovers. Danny Kebwell catching Tom Parks cold, teasing a 4th-minute foul from the Pirates defender to earn himself the chance to score in a 3rd successive match. No problem, the Gills in front emphatically. And there was soon more bad news for Rovers, enduring their worst start to a season for a decade. Kebwell widely credited for a goal which actually appeared to be flicked in by the unfortunate Parks. Adam Virgo's desperate intervention too late. Gillingham are enjoying their best ever start to a campaign, and Martin Allen's men were out of sight by half-time. Charlie Lee's header meant the Kent club could look forward to a second-half cruise. Rovers played better after the break, but only the home side had a goal to cheer. From Miles Weston's cross, Chris Whelpdale topped off the success. 5 wins from 6 in the league, and the manager more than satisfied.
It's good to get a clean sheet, score 4 goals, and sometimes that's worth an extra point. So, well, it is worth an extra point, isn't it, to be honest. So, good news.
York have settled nicely since returning to the Football League, and a trip to Exeter would be a useful yardstick. For the 4th successive league game, Michael Coulson hit the target to give his side an early second-half lead. But Paul Tisdale's men are in no mood to hang around in their quest for a quick return to the league above. A 5th league win on the spin failed to materialise, but John O'Flynn's late equaliser keeps them firmly in contention at the top.
Port Vale were unchanged for the 7th consecutive match here. If it ain't broke, why fix it? But there was a setback in store. Robbie Williams put Plymouth ahead. The left back has 3 goals this season already. A stirring second-half performance lifts Vale into 2nd place in League 2. The comeback began after Ashley Vincent was sent flying by Luke Young. From the spot, Jinnison Miri Williams scored the first of 3 goals in 12 minutes. Moments later, his pass allowed Vincent to put Vale ahead. The Valiants had suddenly hit top gear and were about to cement their status as League Two's top scorers. Substitute Ben Williamson had only been on for 15 minutes when he made it 3-1. Could he force his way into this most stable of Vale lineups? After 16 goals in 6 league games, don't bank on it.
One thing you can say for Dagenham, they're certainly consistent, but it must be driving manager John Still mad. Chasing their first win, his side took the lead against Accrington through Luke Howe. But the pattern for the start of a league season had been lose 1, draw 1, lose 1, draw 1. And after a defeat last time out, the inevitable happened. An Accrington equaliser 5 minutes from time. Peter Murphy making it 7 points from 9 for them on the road.
Fleetwood are flying, and so was Northampton's Danny East. Straight into the back of Jamie Maguire. With only half an hour gone, he was heading for an early shower, a decision that riled his manager, Adi Boothroyd, who was bidding for a first away win. So a man like the Cobblers were up against it, as Fleetwood went in search of a 4th successive victory. Junior Brown set alarm bells ringing. Northampton failed to heed the warning, Brown giving 2 defenders the slip before finishing the job. But it was all irrelevant in the end, as the referee spotted the ball had gone out. Brown needn't have worried. In the 3rd minute of stoppage time, it was his flick that led to the winner. Mark Beasley supplying the cross that eventually dropped to Andy Mangan, who clinched the point to send Fleetwood into the top 3.
Oxford were the victims as the Pirelli Stadium hosted a mini Goal of the Month competition. Goal A here comes from Calvin Zola. The striker is Burton's 11th different scorer this season. The Brewers' Congolese contingent was certainly enjoying themselves. Not to be outdone by Zola, Jacques Mahoma contributed Goal B. The midfielder is enjoying a purple patch in front of goal. In the second half, he recorded his 4th of the campaign, 1 short of the 5 he managed in the whole of last season. So who's getting your vote, Mahoma or Zola? He rounded things off with Goal D, inflicting upon Oxford their heaviest defeat in 2 years.
I think you'd have to say that particularly Calvin's goal changed the game a little bit. I didn't think that we were really a 4-0 game particularly, but I think we just took our chances and little moments of genius from some of the forward players, and we got the 3 points in the end.
Sometimes football can seem such a simple game. Cheltenham took the lead against Southend with a sweeping move that saw Sam Deering centre, tucked away first time by Jermaine McGlashan. But holding on to that lead proved a lot more problematic against a United side pursuing their third successive league victory. The Essex club's build-up to the equaliser was more intricate, though in the end it was an ineffective clearance which scuppered Cheltenham. Sean Clohessy sending Southend to the dressing room in a joyous mood that they carried across the break. Just 4 minutes after coming back out, Britt Assombalonga took his scoring run to 5 in 5 games. The teenager's just extended his loan move from Watford into the new year, which is more good news for a Southend team in fine form. Mark Phillips guaranteed that hat-trick of league victories.
With Steve Evans serving a 6-match stadium ban, his number 2, Paul Rayner, took charge of a Rotherham side keen to impress after being hit for 6 last time out. They set their stall out early as Coyote Odijayi set his sights. Torquay were fortunate to survive that time, but the Millers continued to pile on the pressure, and as half-time approached they made their breakthrough. Alex Ravel's persistence paying off after some slack defensive play. That settled it, but the scoreline should have been more convincing. Ravel's header led to more hesitation in the travelling ranks, but Odijayi couldn't keep his shot down. In the words of Martin Ling, Torquay had surrendered their unbeaten start with a whimper. Daniel Nardiello then tried his luck as the Millers went for more. But they're back to winning ways. Just a pity the manager couldn't see it.
It's well documented, the gaffer's absence today. That was for him. That was from everybody at the club, all the staff, all the players. I think it showed the togetherness, and he really should be here today.
Morecambe boss Jim Bentley urged his side to forget their home drubbing by Fleetwood last week, but Troy Brown and Ollie Lancashire both came close to giving the Shots the lead. And the Shrimps could have nicked it at the end. Kevin Ellison got away on the left, but homekeeper Jamie Young managed to deny both Andrew Fleming and then Isaac Reed.
John Oster's awful back pass did Barnet no favours in a testing trip to Bradford. Alan Connell failed to punish that early mistake, but Phil Parkinson's men were in a much more ruthless mood following the break. Shortly after the restart, James Hanson broke Barnet's resistance. It was the start of a spell which saw the struggling Bees buried in the space of 10 minutes. When Kyle Reid gave his mark at the slip, Graham Stack could only parry the cross. Connell had his goal this time. And while Mark Robson's players were still reeling, their 4th straight defeat was sealed. Gary Jones's free kick finding Andrew Davis. Bradford's perfect home record extended, as was Barnet's anguish.
"16 years after scoring his first ever professional goal, Dele Adebola is still going strong. The 37-year-old now boasts 12 clubs on his CV. 10 minutes in at Kingsmeadow, the big man put his current employers Rochdale on course for a rare away day success. The Dons then pressed the self-destruct button. Jack Midson felt he should have had a penalty after tangling with Phil Edwards, but after the officials rejected his claims, he saw the red mist and then the red card for lashing out at Bobby Grant. His lack of discipline will be punished, according to his manager Terry Brown, who admits he's fighting to save his job. 1 win in 8 in all competitions makes for bleak reading. Grant added to his misery by extending Rochdale's half-time lead. That goal was enough to secure the Lancashire club's first away win since last November. And early in the second half, even more frustration for the home team as Will Antwi strayed offside, meaning Pim Balkenstein's header wouldn't count. The Dons did grab a late consolation though, but that did little to brighten the manager's mood. Luke Moore was the man in just the right spot. But time was almost up, and it may soon be for his boss, who by the finish was showing the strain.
Visitors Wycombe had gone 14 games without keeping a clean sheet. Their chances of ending that unwanted record weren't helped by the early dismissal of Leon Johnson, a straight red card for pulling down Mark Richards as he was clean through on goal. Sure enough, within minutes of that dismissal, debutant Chris Atkinson had put the Spyrites into the lead after a fine cross from Richards and a clinical volley from the 20-year-old. 6 minutes after that, Chesterfield doubled their lead. Terrell Forbes starting the move on the right flank, and the evergreen Jack Lester on hand to provide the finishing touch. Wycombe were given a glimmer of hope with 18 minutes remaining. Home defender Neil Trotman slicing a volley into his own net, but his fellow defender Sam Hurd ensured the 3-point stayed in Derbyshire when he headed a third 5 minutes from time.
Massive win that for the Spyrites. But what about Port Vale? 4 wins from 5 for a club that's still in administration. It feels like they've been in that situation forever now. But you'd like to think Mickey Adams is defying the odds. He's making the club a better prospect for any potential buyer.
He certainly is. He's not using it as an excuse as well for the players that are going out and performing. The highest scorers in the division, and they're a very attractive side as well. So Mickey's doing an exceptional job, and that's a good result against Plymouth.
It's been I suppose, a shaky period for Burton Albion, but 4-0 winners against Oxford, who are going through the mill at the moment, it has to be said. But Burton winning courtesy of all 4 goals being of the highest quality.
Yes, some great goals, and this was just one of them. And Calvin Zola chest volley, left the goalkeeper just watching in admiration. And I do think Oxford are suffering from Chris Wilder, you know, the speculation surrounding Coventry as well. But that's a very good performance by Burton.
And for Fleetwood as well, it's another win to their name this season. Of course, big things are expected of them. It's incredible because Andy Mangan, I mean, he was Mr. Assist for them last season, wasn't he?
It's Mr. Assist again, isn't he, this season? And Mickey Bellano was a very young man at Bristol City, doing a great job there. But losing Vardy just shows that it wasn't just about Vardy and his goals. You know, Mangan, and they create lots of chances. And they're scoring goals and starting to pick up results. They're going to be a force in this division.
But you look at who they've bought. I mean, like the likes of John Parkin, of course, Damien Johnson, ex-Northern Ireland international. Plenty of quality there, of course.
Yeah, John Parkin. You know, everybody thought he was, let's say, not the fittest of forwards, but what he was one of the effective forwards, and he knows what he's good at, and he sticks to it.
All right, before we sign off, let's have a look at the tables after Saturday's games then. At the top of the N-Power Championship, Blackburn have moved into top spot. Rovers, along with Nottingham Forest, are the only unbeaten teams this season. Blackpool slipped to second, followed by Brighton, who have now won their last 3. Hull and Cardiff both now on 10 points after very good starts. Peterborough stay bottom, having lost all of their games this season. Wolves potentially can go up to 9th with a home win against Leicester on Sunday. Well, Crawley apart, who would have predicted that top 6 in N-Power League One after the first half a dozen games? Well done to Tranmere, back at the summit as they extend their unbeaten start. Stevenage and Sheffield United both still yet to taste defeat, and Walsall defying the odds in 5th. Colchester now prop up the table and are still without a win, along with Coventry and Bury, while huge relief tonight for Scunthorpe with that maiden victory of the new campaign. Unbeaten Gillingham stay top of N-Power League 2 after seeing off Bristol Rovers. 2 teams with contrasting resources, Port Vale and Fleetwood, continue their great starts, while Barnet stay rooted after their 5th defeat in 6. Bristol Rovers could do with winning their game in hand, while Chesterfield move up 3 places to 16th, thanks to that much-needed first win of the campaign. Now, before we sign off, a quick reminder, there's more football over the weekend, courtesy of Match of the Day 2. Join Colin on Sunday night at 10:25 on BBC One. As for next Saturday, well, Match of the Day is on at 10:20 on One, followed on the same channel by the day's action from the N-Power Football League. OK, Leroy, cheers for your company tonight. Well, have a great week. We'll see you next Saturday. From Leroy and from me, good night.